Hi there, this is Underwear Guy, and this video is part of the series for the UPS Delivery Man costume, and I am focusing in this video on the underwear options and also how to custom paint underwear if you don't have the right color that you can find in something that you buy off the shelf directly from the store. What you can see here is my mini collection of Joe Snyder underwear, and I'm a big fan of their underwear. It's not the most fancy underwear, but I like the fit, I like how daring and provocative the cuts are, and most importantly, as you can kind of see from what I have here, just the whole range of colors that you can buy it in. And this is just a small sampling. I mean, I have a purple brief and a red one, but it's just a lot of fun. The bulge thong here, again, if you're just trying to be very adventurous and you're not afraid to show off, that's always a lot of fun. And the same color, but in the mini cheek brief version. Same cut, but here in a really cool neon yellow. There's also a slightly darker black that you can buy here, and a fuller cut of the brief version in a navy dark blue. And there's tons of other colors. The only color that they did not have was brown. And I did a lot of research at the time. This was actually a few years ago when I first assembled this costume, and now for the website that it's back up and running, I did a lot of research to find a new set of underwear, and I was surprised to find a lot of options. So in my buying guide on the website, mensunderwearguy.com, you're going to see literally over a dozen different options, different cuts, and they're all in this brown color that matches well for the UPS delivery color scheme. But at the time, again, I didn't have an easy option for the brown, and so I had to paint my own brief. And I really wanted to use the mini cheek version from Joe Snyder just because that was the look I was going for. The cut of this kind of Brazilian back is lots of fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I went around and thought, you cannot dye this kind of fabric, this stretch spandex, very easily. I mean, it's not something that responds well to most dyes. You have to either buy it in the color you have or do something more on the surface. And this is actually a white version of that mini cheek brief that I took and then hand painted. As I've mentioned in some of the other tutorials, like the Superman shirt printing technique, you can't just use regular craft paint, stuff that you put on paper or other surfaces, because that kind of paint doesn't stretch. It's going to flake or crack off, and it's just going to be a real mess when you see it after it dries. What you need is something that's actually formulated to work on fabric materials. It's usually going to be more sticky and adhere to the fabric layers better without getting really saturated into the material, so it still lays on the surface and gives you the color you want. Of course, it dries so that it's not sticky anymore, but it's the tack of that paint that helps adhere it to the surface. It's also got to be something that will stretch, because when you have something like underwear, it's designed normally to have a lot of stretch in it. And as you can see, despite being heavily coated in paint, this is still stretchable. It's stiffer than it was without the paint, so I'm not going to lie and say it's just as easy to stretch out, but it does work, and it doesn't get that weird cracking, especially if you really saturate it all the way through. You can stretch it all the way out and you don't see any of the underlying white. If I turn this around, you'll see where I didn't totally penetrate on the back the full color, but that could easily be solved with a couple more coats of paint. It's not very hard to get good coverage, and then you get a nice solid color. The other great thing about these paints is that they can be blended for custom colors that may not be out of the bottle. So again, I'm going back to the Tulip Soft Fabric Paint. They're kind of the go-to that I use for any kind of fabric crafting. The cool thing is they already have a chocolate brown color that you can buy, which is close. It's just a little too light. It's more of a light coffee brown, and I'm looking for a darker UPS brown. So you just mix in some black, as you can see, and you get the color you want. And these mix up really well. I do recommend you mix quite a bit, more than you think you'll need, because you're going to be painting so much of the surface area of your underwear if you're going to paint it. And you don't really want to run out and then have to carefully remix the color and get two different shades on the same brief. Then you're going to just have to keep painting over and over. And there is a limit to how much paint you should soak into the material before it becomes too thick, and then you really don't want to wear it at all. Painting it itself, there's really nothing to it. I just used my trusty sponge brushes and got those really soaked up, and then just painted the surface, making sure to really dab it in so that it absorbed, and actually turned some of it inside out, tried to get the inside, and made sure to cover the very top edge of the brief and all the leg areas so that there was no white underlying it. I went with white because I felt like that would be the best for reflecting back the light and the color, and it would be a good clean canvas, so I didn't have to worry about how the color of the paint would interact with the underlying color of the fabric. For this particular outfit, you could also go with the yellow. So this is the mango yellow, and I think actually these two complement each other really well. They go well with the UPS colors. But this was basically my way of custom matching the colors that I wanted to go with the shirt that I had, which was an Under Armour spandex shirt. Again, if you're looking for other underwear options, I've got a bunch of links. I thought I'd highlight, just because I happen to have it, if you're going for something maybe a little bit more unusual, like a bedroom look, BodyAware has a whole line of what they call chocolate brown underwear, and that's really cool. This is actually a very shiny satin, and I do like how it feels. This is probably not quite the same look as the more utilitarian UPS Delivery Man, but there's all sorts of looks depending on the mood and the purpose, and so I would never want to say you couldn't go with this. It's just a different finish, so it's going to be shiny, and that might not be something you're used to. But these are really nice garments from BodyAware. It's another nice manufacturer with some fun designs and, again, unique colors that you can't necessarily get in the normal Macy's or Nordstrom, where it's usually just white and some solid colors like red and blue. That's the summary of all the underwear that you can use for this costume. Again, I'm a big fan of Joe Snyder. Generally runs true to size, although it's going to be fairly snug, so keep that in mind. The pouches are a little bit tighter than you would probably be used to. That's just the nature of the design. And make sure you just go with whatever you think you want. So if you want more coverage, there's a bunch of options for boxer briefs. If you like to bear more, then there's thongs. It's whatever you feel like is fun for you and it's going to give you confidence. This is something that was a lot of fun for me, and I'm really happy to be able to share these different insights and techniques with you. So I hope this has been interesting for you to learn a little bit more about it. And check out the other videos where I'm going to talk about the belt, which is a similar process of painting that I used, as well as some of the logo printing I did for the shirt. In the meantime, this is Underwear Guy, and I hope you have fun.